Welcome to Are We the Only Ones? I'm Kathy, and today I want to talk about Megyn Kelly and her splicing of the difference between Jeffrey Epstein hooking up with a 15-year-old versus hooking up with a 5-year-old. And it was an interesting turn of events because, of course, it's a woman who is saying this, a platformed, highly visible, attractive, blonde hair, blue-eyed woman who has dealt with sexual harassment at work. So there's an irony there, and there is a possible weird trauma coping situation. I don't know. I'm going to give her that small bit of benefit of the doubt. But for the most part, there was a comedian that I had seen that was talking about the different, and this is before Megyn Kelly even brought this up. And he was talking about how that when you try to explain the difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old in terms of splicing the legality of what is better or worse, either way, when you try to explain it, you come off sounding like a pedophile. So that was even before she decided to take it upon herself to somehow give an anecdote about somebody that she had known that she said knows almost everything, but doesn't know everything, but almost knows everything, was kind of the way she put it, which is kind of weird for a journalist, like an actual journalist to put it. And then she proceeds to explain that this particular friend of hers said that he wasn't, like Jeffrey Epstein would differentiate between barely legal and like hooking up with a 5-year-old. And the entire, what I do appreciate is we're not saying underage women anymore as a term, because that is clearly a patriarchal term that is used to somehow groom the public and gaslight the public in society into redefining what a child is, prepubescent, and definitely, for sure, not an adult. By 3 years we're talking about. Okay, so I don't know what she was even trying to do. Even trying to, I don't know, reputationally put her neck on the line for this was a very poor choice in terms of a career decision. And certainly, like, even though she said she had, I'm gonna give her context too. There was context where she said, like, it sounds terrible, but she wanted to, I don't know, maybe she just felt like she wanted to have a hot take, like a different take, a point of view that would then like pick up in this like media landscape where you just, to a certain extent, like want something that you say to spread so that you can get press, even if it's something negative and controversial. But what she was saying was like flat out wrong, just flat out wrong. And the only time you would actually splice that down would be from like a court perspective in terms of how much time the pedophile would have to serve, would be the only delineation where there'd be a differentiation of age. It's only to add more years of time for a pedophile that has been found guilty. You understand? So you really don't want to go to bat for a pedophile in the way that she did, just in case like, you know, if you're from a young, I'm Gen X, so like I have a different understanding of between analog to digital. I experienced pre-internet, pre-computer, and then learned computers, learned internet, and grew up with all of that. And I'm from Silicon Valley, from Los Altos, California specifically. So like I really be knowing what I'm talking about when it comes to growing up in technology, where it was at. And I have seen, even now, like when I think about how much proofreading is getting by in printed publications, I saw a newspaper that had, it was clearly an AI generated article that they had submitted and printed. And at the bottom of the article, you could see sort of an AI feedback response to whoever's using it. Like, oh, if you want to add this or this and this. And that's how you knew it was definitely an AI thing. But it wasn't just that this person submitted it. For me, the takeaway was not just that the professional who submitted it into a printed newspaper publication, but it was also that there was no human proofreader to proofread the final. Like, I remember I was in charge of my traffic engineering firm's newsletter, and I remember we proofread that bad boy at least 4 different freaking eyes. And so I don't understand how a newspaper doesn't do that. And I just don't. I mean, that was a newsletter for like 4 offices. Like, this is not like a national paper, right? So I don't know where we have gone as a professional culture in America, but we have let a lot of proofreading errors that get from like, okay, here's a typo here and there. I mean, I see it all the time in like online. They're printed publications, but they, publish online, and then you'll see the caption has a typo. I remember I was actually recently reading something to my husband, and I was reading, I was like, what does this say? Completia?